Toast Creator Toast. And while looking for an idea for this week's video, I took a look through some of my old sketchbooks. Because, you know, there's gotta be some good ideas in there somewhere. I was looking for some old story characters that I had created that never really got their chance to shine. And I found just that. So let me show you. I'm laying in bed, don't judge me, I don't feel like getting up. I was looking through my past sketchbooks trying to get an idea of like what I could do for the comic strip that I'm planning on doing. And I tried going in chronological order, but I only labeled like one of my sketchbooks apparently. And it was this one. This one I didn't find anything too promising in, so. But, I labeled this sketchbook 12, but I didn't label like any other sketchbook, so I only know that this is my 12th sketchbook. But I believe it goes, this one's the oldest, and then this one's the next one, and then this one. I feel like that's it. I'm not sure. But, so we'll start off with the first contestants. These were like some elementals that I made. I don't remember how long ago. But I really thought that the water girl was cute. This is supposed to be the earth girl. This is the fire girl. I even drew the water girl on the next page because I liked her. I thought these were really cute and I was like, I could do something with that. That's a story waiting to happen. I saw her, my other sketchbook, and I remember really liking how she turned out. I still really like her. I think she's really cute. Named her Puff. It's really cute. I don't remember exactly why I created her, why I made her head float. I don't know. I like it still. I think it's really cool. I don't remember if I made any lore for her, but I do remember that she was supposed to be really good at martial arts. She's supposed to be good at martial arts, which that's pretty cool, I think. So, keep doing what you're doing. And then I saw this one. I was like, oh, I remember this character. This is Mia. And Mia is a little girl who wants to become a knight one day. Ignore the badly drawn armor. I did not look up a reference and I didn't know how to draw armor. But anyway, she wanted to be a knight. And everyone was telling her that she couldn't because she's a girl. And so of course she had to go out of her way to prove them wrong. I guess I started drawing something down here and then just erased it. And I was like, all these are cool and all, I like them, but like, you know, do I really want to make a comic strip with them? And then I saw this character. Well, I guess these characters. And I was like, these are the ones. We're using these ones. So, I'll give you a quick brief of the characters, and then I'll get more into their stories later. But this is Elizabeth Sprinkles III. Yes, they're all fancy. They all have numbers after their names, because that's cool, I guess. She is a princess of the place called the Sugar Crash Kingdom. And this is Andreica Pepperbark IV. And she is the princess of the Bittersweet Kingdom, obviously. You can tell I was going for like a candy theme here. But she's supposed to be like everything super sweet, very colorful, very like just bright, colorful, very sweet. And Andreica is more of like peanut brittle, dark chocolate, salted caramel, black licorice kind of thing. Very like more dark, more savory of the two. And both of them have their little assistants. This is Bonbon. I love Bonbon. Bonbon is so, like, silly. And this is Friedrich Fitzgerald III. You have to say his full name. He will not respond to anything else. And yes, you have to say it exactly like that. You have to call him Friedrich Fitzgerald III. You can't leave out the third. You can't call him Frederick, and you can't call him Fred. That is a big no-no. And he is Andreica's, assistant, and I drew them both on the next page. I remember that. I drew her hair up with a black licorice hair tie. Do with that information as you please. I guess I was going to draw Andreica here and then never did, so she's just kind of alone. But yes, she is a sleepy beauty. And then I saw her again in this, and I was like, oh my gosh, she's so cute. Like, ah! And she has a horse, and I think her horse's name was Icing. And there's Bonbon and Friedrich Fitzgerald III. And they're in love. Of course they are. Why not? Obviously, he's a little cupcake, and he's supposed to be salted caramel with a top hat. He's a silly guy. Just a silly little dude. I have another drawing of them in there. This isn't my favorite drawing of Elizabeth. I don't know how often I've drawn Andreica, but let me get that other picture of Elizabeth. Here's the other drawing of Elizabeth. I like this one much better. I love the roundness. I'd probably redesign her a little bit because there's a lot happening here. And then here's Andreyka. I do not like how Andreyka looks in this, and it's just her head. Really, that's it. There's Bonbon, of course. We love Bonbon. Oh, they're holding hands. Look at that. They're so happy. He doesn't look that happy, but Bonbon's happy. Anyway. Of course, I have to have the pronunciation of it. Elizabeth and Friedrich. It looks like I redesigned her a little bit. She has, like, much flowier hair, elf ears. She doesn't have that weird Zentangle on her apron. And it looks like I got rid of the bows there. Oh, nope, they're just down lower. Never mind. But I will take these characters, and I'm gonna make a little comic strip out of them. So, I'll be back soon. So I hopped into this character redesign thinking it was going to be easy. Boy, I was wrong. Normally I don't have issues with character design, but as I was redesigning Elizabeth, it felt like everything was going wrong. From the design of her dress, to the colors I used, to her eye shape, to her proportions, nothing was working. I really wanted her to have big eyes, but anytime I tried to draw her eyes, she just looked soulless, like she was staring into our souls. Look at that face. She looks like she is going to try to myrtleize me in the middle of the night. I struggled for what felt like hours. Turns out it wasn't even one. It was a big struggle. During this moment, I was trying to push through it, trying to, force myself to get it done, and maybe I'd find something I liked. I have learned during my time of being an artist, if you do try to push through it, more often than not, you will eventually figure out what was making your art look weird. At least that's my experience. At this point, I determined it was the eyes that I didn't like. I tried so many times to get her eyes right, to change her eye shape, to change her pupils, and just nothing was working. Eventually, I gave up on trying to draw the eyes on the close-up model. I liked the eyes that I drew on the full-body one in the background, so I stole them, and I put them on the larger model, but I still hated it. It felt like nothing was working. So finally, after struggling for not even an hour, I decided to put it down and go to bed because it was getting late. Unfortunately, the next day didn't go as good either. I decided to just redo it because the first one was really frustrating me and it didn't feel like it would have been good to continue on that one. However, shortly after starting this one, I ran into problems too. Again, nothing just felt right. So I decided to try something else. I put down my iPad and I picked up a sketchbook. I have pretty much been solely digital art for like the past year or so, but I remembered back when I drew more in my sketchbook, there would be these bits in time where I would pretty much only be able to draw digitally if I wanted to draw, and there would be times where I could only draw traditionally if I wanted to draw. So I tried on paper to see if I'd get any other results. And I did. I was finally able to get a design that I liked. But the struggles are not over yet, dear viewer. Oh no. Because character design is one of my favorite things to do, I pride myself on how well I use colors. I would like to think I know what a good color palette looks like, but oh my god, I could not get her colors right for the life of me. I knew 3 things about her. She has pink skin, dark pink hair, and blue eyes. And that was it. You know when you have a vision in your head and you want that vision to come true so bad, despite how hard it is to make it come true? Yeah, that was me with this. I wanted to use a bunch of colors, I wanted her to be super colorful, but when making a character, you want to have a cohesive color palette. And I wasn't able to figure out how to get all the fancy colors I wanted in. I had my heart set on using a bright red in the design, which I did end up getting to use, but it was really hard to incorporate it in a way that looked good with the rest of the colors. But I got her done, and I think she's really cute. Now you may be thinking, what issues did Andreyka give you? I'm gonna be 100% honest, literally none! She was easier to redesign, she was easier to color. It was easier to come up with a coherent color palette for her. And on top of that, she turned out freaking gorgeous! Andreyka's original design was too human-esque for me, especially since her counterpart, Elizabeth, was just like this really round, cartoony-looking candy character. And it was either genius character design, showing just how different the characters are, or it was a design flaw. And I'm leaning towards design flop because there's no way 11th grade me was that creative with it. So I decided to take 𝐏𝐫𝐢𝐬𝐬 and make her pretty much the exact opposite of Elizabeth. I really wanted her to be tall, lanky, slender, not as keen to showing as much emotion as Elizabeth does. And I made her nose this like triangle, and I've never done that before with like any characters, and it actually looks so good on her. I might do it more often. While I was working on this, there were a few times I almost gave 𝐏𝐿𝐴 like proper human anatomy. It was mostly muscle memory, but it was the exact opposite of what I wanted to do for her character. Like, I really wanted her to look disproportionate. Like, she's got a longer neck than most people, very long torso, long legs, and that was the goal. The colors I was trying to use on her were like the colors you would see on, say, like dark chocolate, caramel, like a lot of oranges, browns, and blacks. And here she is in all her glory. Now before we jump into the comic art, I would like to show you a note board I made using Milanote. No, Milanote is not sponsoring this channel. I am not cool enough to be sponsored just yet. So here's the board I made. It was quite nice just to be able to throw all my designs, sketches, and notes into one area and be able to come back to them anytime I needed to. This is gonna be a little stupid, but my favorite aspect of this app is the doodle feature, because I was able to make those stupid little drawings. Besides that, this app was really easy to learn and use, and it is very convenient to have all my stuff in one area. Okay, now on to the comic. So the idea of this comic is that Elizabeth and Bonbon are visiting 𝐏𝐿𝐴 in her castle, and while they are there, Friedrich Fitzgerald III needs to talk to Bonbon about something very important. Like I said, Bonbon and Friedrich Fitzgerald III are in love, and when two people are in love, they tend to have special names that only they can call each other. So Friedrich Fitzgerald III is giving Bonbon permission to call him Friedrich. However, before he is able to do so, Elizabeth and 𝐏𝐿𝐴 both overhear him talking to Bonbon in his room. And so these two dinguses decide to eavesdrop on them. This is the first ever comic I've really ever made. Like, I dabbled in them before, like a little bit, but I've never actually genuinely finished anything or made a cohesive story. So this is a huge first for me. If you have any suggestions on how I can improve my comic making skills, please kindly put them in the comments. Well, I do really like how it turned out. I can't help but feel there's potentially something I could have done better to make it look more nice. But again, this is really my first time actually ever making a comic, so mistakes are bound to be made. Something I didn't notice until too late is that I drew Bonbon's icing swirl backwards. In all of my concept art, it's facing our right, but in the comic, it's facing our left. Rookie mistake on my part. Speaking of rookie mistakes, I made quite a few of them drawing this page. Because I didn't place the words first when I was drawing that last panel, I ended up drawing much more than I needed to. However, thinking about it, it was probably helpful to get the whole body proportions correct. Another thing I forgot to do, also in that last panel, I forgot to draw the back of Elizabeth's hair, so again, I drew much more than I needed to. Now how about I say a few things I like about the comics I made. I like how Bonbon leans in on the doorway as if he's peeking into the room. I like little Elizabeth stopping 𝐏𝐿𝐴 to alert her that they're saying something that they can eavesdrop on. I like that I made the carpet look fluffy by making the color overlap their shoes. On the second page, I like where Elizabeth and 𝐏𝐿𝐴 squeal awe, how it bursts out of the comic panel. I like how adorable Elizabeth looks in this panel. I like that Friedrich Fitzgerald III has the courage to scold two princesses for eavesdropping on him, one of them being a princess that he serves. Like, 𝐏𝐿𝐴 could easily squash him with her boot. I also like that he calls them rapscallions. If I were more confident, I would do a dramatic reading of the comic. However, I do not believe in my skill as a voice actor. As much as I like it, and as much as I'd want to, I feel like it would be, like, embarrassing or something, I don't know. I will leave them on the screen if you want to read them, so feel free to pause the video if you so desire. And this is my first comic. I think it turned out really good for a first of mine. It was a lot of fun, and I'd love to try it again sometime with something other than a little one-shot. If you have some older characters, I think this is a perfect way to give them life again. Will I use these characters again in the future? Only time will tell. Both have small, little tedious details that would be really difficult to replicate over and over again. For example, you may have noticed that I didn't put any of the sprinkles or the candy that I had originally drawn in the concept art for Elizabeth. And that was just to make things easier for me, really, because it would be very difficult to draw that over and over again. Again, there's just some very small tedious things that would make drawing these characters multiple times kind of tedious. But I do really like them, and who knows? We'll see what happens. Thank you all so much for watching. Sorry this video was a little late. Everything really stumped me, like with the character design. It was a bit of a hassle. But I hope you enjoyed the video and have a wonderful rest of your day. See you next time. Bye bye.